They say people only notice you when you're either in their way or saving their necks. For 20 years, I was neither. Just Rosa the janitor who knew when to keep her head down and her cart moving. But that morning, something felt different, like the air was charged with static. And by the end of it, they weren't looking past me anymore, they were looking at me. It started like every other day. I clocked in before sunrise, rolled my cart into the glossy halls of Valente Tech's headquarters, and got to work like I always did, quiet, efficient, invisible. I wore my navy blue uniform like armor, tied my hair back, and took pride in every streak-free window and spotless floor. I liked the silence before the chaos, before the execs and assistants rushed in with their overpriced coffees and buzzing phones. But that morning, the energy was off. I noticed it right away in the way people whispered in clipped tones near the elevators and darted past me like ghosts. The CEO's system just crashed, one guy hissed. He's mid-call with investors, gonna lose it. I didn't flinch. Not my business. I was just the janitor. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. Still, I couldn't ignore the shift. I was cleaning near the break room when I overheard a panicked IT tech whisper, "It's not just a crash, it's fighting back." That one got my attention. Fighting back. Systems don't fight back, not unless someone makes them. That's when a hit met his was no accident. Someone had hacked them, and it was deliberate. Now, I hadn't touched a piece of code in years, but I knew the signs. Before I was Rosa the janitor, I was Rosa the girl who loved computer logic, who lost sleep over circuits and lines of code, who earned a degree in engineering from a little college with big dreams I buried when life made other plans, when my son came along and his father vanished like smoke. But some things never leave you. All those nights fixing secondhand computers in my apartment while my boy slept in the next room, turns out, they stuck. So when I watched these tech experts panic, I felt something rise in me. Call it instinct, call it fire, I just knew I couldn't stand there and watch them flail. So I stepped forward. Quietly, I said, "Excuse me, I might be able to help." You'd think I'd grown a second head. The IT lead slicked back hair, expensive loafers chuckled like I just asked to fly the damn plane. "With all due respect, ma'am," he began. But before he could finish that condescending sentence, Mark, one of the few who remembered my name, spoke up. "Let her try," he said, voice shaking. "We tried everything else. They let me through." I sat at the laptop, hands trembling, heart pounding like a drum. The screen stared backlands of encrypted code, a jungle of errors. But to me, it looked familiar, like an old friend I hadn't seen in years. I started typing slow at first, careful then faster, chasing the thread of the hack through the system like a hunter in the woods. I could hear them behind meth silence, the disbelief, the CEO pacing, but I blocked it all out. Every piece of code felt like a story I used to know, and my fingers moved with a kind of muscle memory I didn't know I still had. I found a breach cleverly disguised, buried deep in, I smiled to myself. Not clever enough. I worked to isolate it line by line, like pulling weeds from a garden. I was back in my element, back in the place where I didn't have to be invisible, where I was the expert, not the afterthought. The IT lead leaned over at one point and asked, "Where'd you learn to do this?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Every keystroke was the answer. When I finally hit enter on the last command, the screen flickered in, then the numbers on the CEO's display started stabilizing. The system came back. The hack was undone. The room went still like the breath of every person had been caught in their throat. Then I looked up and they were all looking at me. "You did it, mister," Lawrence said, his voice hoarse. He stared at me like I was someone brand new, but I wasn't. I was the same Rosa who'd walked into that building 2 hours earlier, the same woman who'd been there every day for 20 years. They had just never seen me. Mark beamed, practically vibrating. "You saved the company," he said. "Even the IT lead, mister." Too Good for Mop gave me a respectful nod. "I underestimated you," he said. I gave him a soft smile. "Most people do." Then mister. Lawrence stepped closer and said something I'll never forget. "We need someone like you on the team officially." I blinked. "Sir," he nodded. "You don't belong behind a mop. You belong in IT. You have a place here if you want it." I stood there, stunned. My entire life, I'd been told to stay small, stay grateful. That dreams were luxury, not destiny. But here was this man, holding open a door I thought had closed forever. "I like that very much," I said, voice steady, but inside I was shaking like a leaf. People clapped. Someone even whistled. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen not for what I did, but for who I was. I gave my old mop one last pat it had served me well and pushed the cart aside. That chapter was over. As I walked down the hall, people nodded, smiled, some even said thank you. Mark walked beside me, still glowing. "I always knew there was something special about you," he said. I really laughed for the first time in ages. "Thank you, Mark. That means more than you know." I paused near the break room. The smell of burnt coffee and stale muffins drifting out like always, but this time it didn't feel like a cage. It felt like the past. I found a quiet window and pulled out my phone, hand still trembling a little. I dialed. "Mama," my son answered. I smiled. "Hey, baby." Work was different today. Different how? I looked out over the city, sun glinting off the glass towers like a promise. I think I finally get to do what I've always wanted. There was a pause on the line. Then, "I'm proud of you, Mama." And just like that, I knew it was real. Now you tell me, if someone spent 20 years being invisible, does that mean they were invisible? Or did we just choose not to look? Tell me what you think. Is talent wasted if no one sees her? Is it only wasted when we stop believing in it ourselves? Drop your thoughts below, because I know I'm not the only one with a story like this.